Kyle leads well. Seeing the way that he interacts with his community and his family makes me more than confident in his ability to lead us in Washington. The most common feedback that I get about Kyle is how kind he is, and that's genuine. He's the kindest man that I know, but he is also the strongest. Kyle is a boots on the ground, hardworking man who treats people with respect. We should be proud to have this type of leader in our district. I look up to Kyle, and I hope that one day I can be even part of the man, the father, and the friend that he is.
Thank you, Chase. Wow, that's a tough act to follow. You know, let me talk about Chase because it's only fair. He's been an amazing support to me. As you can imagine, campaigns like this, they just don't happen. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of volunteers, and it takes supporters like you. So thank you so much to Chase and everybody else who's here today, because you're part of that journey. You're supporters, you're donors, by just being here, and I appreciate it. So feel free to continue to eat while I talk. I know it's kind of odd, you know, some people still don't have food. It's not going to be awkward, so please continue to enjoy your food. So what prompted me, about 6 years ago, I made the decision to get involved in politics. So, you know, I had no aspirations to do that. You know, I was just fine living my life. And then some things happened, and I just want to kind of set the stage. So our family went on a short-term mission trip to Mexico, and that was about 6 years ago. And we took our family down, and it was an amazing experience for my kids and for my wife and I to help at an orphanage and just to help serve people. And when we came back from that, we actually thought we could be full-time missionaries. Like, we were really thinking about it, like, okay, we want to serve people, we want to volunteer. It's just part of who our family is. And then through some course of events, you know, there were some doors that closed, and we're like, oh, we're discouraged. Like, what do we do? I mean, we feel that we have this calling to serve others. So what does that look like? And so my wife and I started praying, like, okay, you know, what would that look like? And then shortly after that, we lived in Sumas at the time, still do, and the mayor position was coming up. And so we started praying, and like just a week or two later, some people actually came to my wife and said, hey, why doesn't Kyle put in to be the mayor of Sumas? And we're like, wow, boy, we never really thought of this. And my wife actually thought it was, she mentioned it to me as a joke. And so it was kind of funny. And I was like, well, why not? And so we really started praying about it. And it's been such a good fit for me because I am that person who enjoys helping other people. And so when you look at the political arena, I think we need more of that, where people come in not like, what can I get out of it as Kyle? And how can I serve those around me? And so that's kind of the backstory. So I did put in for running for mayor and won about 2-1. And so we're like, okay, this is the next thing. So did that for 4 years, had a great experience. And during that time was like, boy, I'd really like to do something else. And that's why I'm standing here today to candidating and campaigning for state representative. And so that's kind of the backstory that led us to here today. So my mission field, you know, is Whatcom County, Legislative District 42. So that's why I'm running. I want to keep doing what I enjoy doing and take that to the state level. So a little bit about what I've done. So I've been a volunteer firefighter for over 25 years. Jesse, I've done a lot with him over the last few years. He's also on Fire District 14. Does an amazing job, and that's something I enjoy. That's something I've done ever since right out of high school. It kind of encapsulates that community service that I enjoy. I've also been a deputy for 6 years. In my early 20s, I was a deputy in Oregon. So obviously with the way the state of our state right now, with all of the public safety concerns and rising crime rates, that really hits home to me because I used to be a deputy for 6 years, and I want people to feel safe. I want my families to feel safe. So that's a very important thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. What do I do now? I actually, when my term ended as mayor at the end of December, I took a temporary job to help with the flood recovery efforts. A lot of you know, you live here, there's been about 2,000 addresses of people that have been affected by the flooding. And so right now I lead a team, and I'm employed by Whatcom County Sheriff's Office, Division of Emergency Management. That's quite a mouthful. And what I do is I help lead the efforts to help people that have been affected by the floods. So I take resources from the government side, nonprofit organizations like the Whatcom Long-Term Recovery Group and other local charities, and bring people together to try to get that help, that funding, those resources to people that have been affected by the floods. So that's what I currently do on top of campaign. So it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding as well. So what am I going to do? That's a little bit about what I've done, what's brought me here today. So I mentioned public safety. We've seen rising crime rates just in the last 1 to 2 years. A lot of that's been for legislation. We've seen that coming out of Olympia, the anti-pursuit laws for lessening the severity of crimes, and so people aren't being held accountable for when they break the law. And that's a very concerning thing for me. I was sharing with the sheriff just actually mentioned this yesterday, that they've seen an increase of 600% in stolen vehicles over this last year. That's a huge increase in stolen vehicles. So that's just one example of the bad legislation that we've had come out of Olympia that needs to be fixed. So that's near and dear to my heart, finding ways, and it can be done. We just have to get a majority in the House and the Senate, and we can do a lot of good things this year. So, fiscal responsibility. This year, during the legislative session, there was a $15 billion excess tax revenue that came into the state of Washington. So again, $15 billion, we're not talking millions, above and beyond what the state budget was. So all of that some of it could have come back to us. Republican people were saying, well, let's do a gas tax rebate. Let's do a property tax refund. Let's lower the sales tax by 1%. So there's a lot of different things that could have been done to help people that have already been struggling with COVID, and businesses were already hurting. And I don't know about you, but my property taxes continue to rise. Gas pump, have you been to the gas pump?
Oh, yeah.
I almost have to leave one of my kids there to wash dishes because it's so much money, or do anything. So all of those things, the high cost of inflation, cost of goods, and still no meaningful tax relief came back to the people in Washington. And so that's a very concerning thing. So all that money, where did it go? They found programs to do, but nothing came back to help us, the people in business in Washington. So very concerning. So that's something that I would take as a very big priority. You know, that's our tax dollars that went there and never came back. So protecting freedoms. You know, I won't get too far into the weeds here, but I love living in America where my freedoms and liberties are protected. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like over the last few years, especially, our freedoms and liberties are in question, and you can't even speak up because they'll just speak out louder against you. And so we need to bring that back to where government is meant to protect us and provide structure so that we can freely live our lives. But we used to be back to here. Now we're all, I don't know if I'm alone, but I feel like we're pushed into a box. You have to watch what you say. Freedom of speech is in jeopardy. Freedom of religion to worship the way you want to. Whether you get a vaccine or get certain health things done to your body. The Second Amendment rights, you know, the right to keep and bear arms. I mean, you could keep going down that list of freedoms and liberties that are in question. And I'm very passionate about protecting our freedoms and liberties, because that's why we live in this great nation, so we can live the way we want within the bounds of that government structure. So, in conclusion, I just want to bring up a few things. People need help right now in Whatcom County. I don't know if you spend time talking to people on fixed income that are paying an enormous amount at the gas pump, young families that can't afford to live in Whatcom County because prices keep going up on housing. We can do a better job of making sure we have affordable housing. There's a lot of things we can do, but again, if you have people in the legislature that continue to add tax upon tax for building new homes, they're not going to be affordable. I want my kids to be able to afford to live and stay in Whatcom County. I don't know about you, if you're a young family, they can't afford a home nowadays. I mean, it's very difficult to afford. So I want to bring that back to where it's something that we can have our kids not move away to another area. We can do that here. There's some good high-paying jobs. We've got to support industry. We've got to support business. Instead of taxing them so hard that then they raise their prices and it affects the local economy, because it affects our spending power as people that live here. So I chose the slogan, people first. That's been something that I've tried to live out in my last 4 years as mayor. And I would just say that that's the most important thing to me. Every decision I make shouldn't be about what's best for me. It should be about what's best for all of the 42nd District. And a lot of the things we've been talking about, I believe, are what's best for the 42nd District that I would represent. I feel like we should have policies that allow us to thrive in a free society. And so that's another important thing. Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. For one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in the United States where men were free. That really resonates with me, and I think it resonates with you if you look at where we're at today. So, as I wrap this up, because I can just keep going, I wanted to let you guys know we are working hard. I'm working hard. Tomorrow, we're going to be out doorbelling, knocking on doors. Rain or shine, we're going to be in Ferndale, going door to door, trying to gain awareness, remind people to vote, and tell them about the issues that we're facing, and hear from people about the issues that are important to them. So working hard doing that, making phone calls, we're out putting out signs. I'm attending events everywhere I can. Any speaking engagements that I can go to, I'm doing it to gain awareness, to help our campaign, to get the word out there. So this is my commitment to all of you as my supporters for being here. I will continue to work hard. August 2nd is when the primary election is. That's not very far away. So we have a little bit of time to continue to do what we're doing. Ballots will hit, they get mailed out July 13th, and ballots should arrive at your mailboxes probably July 15th. So that's why these events are so important to me, to gain a little bit more financial support so that we're able to continue to do, I wish I could say it all just takes energy and effort, but we do need financial support. And the very fact that you guys are here supporting us means a lot to me and to our campaign. So I would just mention the donation envelopes are here. You know, feel free to fill those out at your tables. We've got pens, donation envelopes up here if you need some, or you can do it on your way out. That's totally fine as well. Just want to give a few statistics and then I'll stop talking. We've raised $27,000 so far with 203 separate donations. So we're so thankful for that. And some of you have already done that. So thank you, because it's been amazing. So our goal is to raise another $28,000 before the primary election. There's a lot of mailers we have to get out, a lot of events and literature we have to buy. So this is where I just take a couple minutes and say, I need your support. You know, just being here help support us. But anything that you guys are able to give above and beyond makes a big difference for us. Not trying to guilt anybody, but if you feel that you can do it, please feel free to donate a little bit extra because it'll make a big difference for us. And it'll encourage us. We're out working hard. I just need to have that extra financial push to help us get over the finish line here over the next month and a half.